7, Job 14, 15, and 16. Job 14. Mortals born of woman are of a few days and full of trouble. They spring up like flowers and wither away. Like fleeting shadows, they do not endure. Do you fix your eye on them? Will you bring them before you for judgment? Who can bring what is pure from the impure? No one. A person's days are determined. You have decreed the number of his months and have set limits he cannot exceed. So look away from him and let him alone till he has put in his time like a hired laborer. At least there is hope for a tree. If it is cut down, it will sprout again, and its new shoots will not fail. Its roots may grow old in the ground and its stump die in the soil, yet at the scent of water it will bud and put forth shoots like a plant. But a man dies and is laid low. He breathes his last and is no more. As the water of a lake dries up, or a riverbed becomes parched and dry, so he lies down and does not rise. Till the heavens are no more, people will not awake or be roused from their sleep. If only you would hide me in the grave and conceal me till your anger has passed. If only you would set me a time and then remember me. If someone dies, will they live again? All the days of my hard service, I will wait for my renewal to come. You will call, and I will answer you. You will long for the creature your hands have made. Surely then you will count my steps, but not keep track of my sin. My offenses will be sealed up in a bag. You will cover over my sin. But as the mountain erodes and crumbles, and as a rock is moved from its place, as water wears away stones and torrents wash away the soil, so you destroy a person's hope. You overpower them once for all, and they are gone. You change their countenance and send them away. If their children are honored, they do not know it. If their offspring are brought low, they do not see it. They feel but the pain of their own bodies and mourn only for themselves.
Chapter 15. Then Eliphaz the Temanite replied, would a wise person answer with empty notions, or fill their belly with the hot east wind? Would they argue with useless words, with speeches that have no value? But you even undermine piety and hinder devotion to God. Your sin prompts your mouth. You adopt the tongue of the crafty. Your own mouth condemns you, not mine. Your own lips testify against you. Are you the first man ever born? Where were you brought forth before the hills? Do you listen in on God's counsel? Do you have a monopoly on wisdom? What do you know that we do not know? What insights do you have that we do not have? The gray-haired and the aged are on our side, men even older than your father. Are God's consolations not enough for you? Words spoken gently to you? Why has your heart carried you away? And why do your eyes flash? So that you vent your rage against God and pour out such words from your mouth. What are mortals that they could be pure? Or those born of women that they could be righteous? If God places no trust in his holy ones, if even the heavens are not pure in his eyes, how much less mortals who are vile and corrupt, who drink up evil like water? Listen to me, and I will explain to you. Let me tell you what I have seen, what the wise have declared, hiding nothing received from their ancestors, to whom alone the land was given, when no foreigners moved among them. All his days the wicked man suffers torment. The ruthless man through all the years stored up for him. Terrifying sounds fill his ears. When all seems well, marauders attack him. He despairs of escaping the realm of darkness. He is marked for the sword. He wanders about for food like a vulture. He knows the day of darkness is at hand. Distress and anguish fill him with terror. Troubles overwhelm him like a king poised to attack, because he shakes his fist at God and vaunts himself against the Almighty, defiantly charging against him with a thick, strong shield. Though his face is covered with fat and his waist bulges with flesh, he will inhabit ruined towns and houses where no one lives. Houses crumbling to rubble. He will no longer be rich, and his wealth will not endure, nor will his possessions spread over the land. He will not escape the darkness. A flame will wither his shoots, and the breath of God's mouth will carry him away. Let him not deceive himself by trusting what is worthless, for he will get nothing in return. Before his time, he will wither, and his branches will not flourish. He will be like a vine stripped of its unripe grapes, like an olive tree shedding its blossoms. For the company of the godless will be barren, and fire will consume the tents of those who love bribes. They conceive trouble and give birth to evil. The womb fashions deceit.
Job 16. Then Job replied, I have heard many things like these. You are miserable comforters, all of you. Will your long-winded speeches never end? What ails you that you keep on arguing? I also could speak like you. If you were in my place, I could make fine speeches against you and shake my head at you, but my mouth would encourage you. Comfort from my lips would bring you relief. Yet if I speak, my pain is not relieved, and if I refrain, it does not go away. Surely, God, you have worn me out. You have devastated my entire household. You have shriveled me up, and it has become a witness. My gauntlet rises up and testifies against me. God assails me and tears me in his anger and gnashes his teeth at me. My opponent fastens on me his piercing eyes. People open their mouths to jeer at me. They strike my cheek in scorn and unite together against me. God has turned me over to the ungodly and thrown me into the clutches of the wicked. All was well with me, but he shattered me. He seized me by the neck and crushed me. He has made me his target. His archers surround me. Without pity, he pierces my kidneys and spills my gall on the ground. Again and again, he bursts upon me. He rushes at me like a warrior. I have sewed sackcloth over my skin and buried my brow in the dust. My face is red with weeping. Dark shadows ring my eyes. Yet my hands have been free of violence, and my prayer is pure. Earth, do not cover my blood. May my cry never be laid to rest. Even now, my witness is in heaven. My advocate is on high. My intercessor is my friend, and my eyes pour out tears to God. On behalf of a man, he pleads with God as one pleads for a friend. Only a few years will pass before I take the path of no return.
Wow. It just seems like it's going from bad to worse. And his friends just it's like they're piling more and more pain onto Job's shoulders.
Yeah.
You know, he just wants a little bit of relief. He just needs a friend, and it just gets worse and worse. This is really one of the hardest books for me to read.
Yeah. It's really depressing to see how his friends are. When I've read this book in the past, I've always thought of it as just looking at Job himself. But it's just becoming so clear that this is more about Job and his friends.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, how we can respond to God when things are difficult, but also how should we be when we are trying to help somebody who's going through a difficult time.
Yes, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing, is how should we be when our friends or even our coworkers or our colleagues are going through challenging times.
Yeah.
You know, what they need is just reprieve. They need someone to listen to them, not to tell them what's wrong,
Yeah.
but just be a friend.
And I'm really impressed by Job because he just keeps his head in
Yeah.
the situation. He sees it as it is. You know, a lot of people would go into depression and start becoming very, you know, self-analytical, listening to what the people around them are saying, and believing it. But he didn't. He was really clear-minded and clear. He had a clear head, and he was like, "What's wrong with you guys? Like, who are you? You guys are just terrible counselors. Like, if I were in your place, I'd be a comforter. But you guys are terrible. Like, just be quiet."
But it's interesting. What I was just thinking about though is how when we go through, or many people go through challenging times in their lives, often I hear stories about people blaming God.
Yeah.
You know, getting angry and blaming God. Job was wrestling with God. He wasn't blaming him, but he knew that God could respond.
Yeah.
And that's what he just wanted, a response. Why? You know, why?
And I think as well at the very end of this chapter here in Job 16, he talks about how he's like, I'm just praying to God. I'm praying to God like I'm praying for a friend. And it just shows the type of relationship he had with God before this happened.
Yeah.
I think that's what's carrying him through, is because they already had a great relationship with God. And so he just has a lot of confidence in that relationship.
Trust.
To go to God and know that God is going to listen to him. He's there. He hasn't abandoned him. And then he says, you know, God is my friend. So he was talking to God as his friend because he didn't have anybody else. There's times in our lives when the people around us, they just don't know what to say. They don't know how to react, or they're reacting really badly in a situation. And you're like, this is making it worse. I've been there where it's like, oh my goodness, I can't even listen to that, what that person just said to me. Like, here I am in pain and they're saying this, like, you should have done this, or you should have done that. Oh, see, I told you so.
Oh, that's the worst.
And this is what it makes me think of, is like the I told you so's.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm learning there should never be this I told you so. Just a compassion, a mercy, and grace, because we don't know why things are happening. We don't know all we can do is just be there for that person and try to help them. Now, are there times where we need to, you know, help somebody to move on or change something in their life? Yes. Being our brother's keeper means also helping somebody, but not when they're in the middle of the pain.
It's true. It's true. You know, when someone shares something challenging, our first response should be, thank you for sharing that. Tell me more. I want to hear more.
Yeah.
Not giving them solutions for their problems. And I think that's hard, because our first reaction is we use our worldly wisdom instead of just taking the time to listen.
True. Good point.
Well, thanks for joining us again today. We'll see you tomorrow for day number 8. Have a great one.